I said, once you've created a new project, then inside there you can create new parts, new drawings, new assemblies, and new presentations. So as you can see in this, we have one big project, but we have many parts that are going to be built or created or designed. So I'm not quite sure how Steve or the other coaches want to do this, but we're going to just start with this piece right here that everybody's going to design. You're also going to design, if you look at this side, I think Steve had said that we'll put some kind of racing picture or something etched into here, so you can do that too. It's called embossing, and I'll show you how to do that in Inventor. Alright, so like I said, when we look at our new, alright, there are 4 different components. You're always going to use standard IPT, standard IAM, standard IDW, and standard IPN. So I don't think we're going to use sheet metal, but I'm not sure of the materials that we're going to be using. And well, we might be using these other things, but we're going to have to figure out from the foundry what types of, but anyway, there's still .IPTs, .IAMs, .IDWs, and .IPNs. So this is a part, IPT part, IAM, AM assembly, IDW, DW drawing, IPN, PN presentation. So let's start with the standard IPT. You're going to open this up, and remember, this is being opened up in the project that you just created. Okay, it's loading. You do have to wait, you have to be patient. Alright, so there's 3 different parts to this window. This here is your browser, okay, and you're going to get used to using these plus signs. These determine what planes or axes you're working on, because remember, this is a 3D this is a 3D matrix that you're working in. Over here is your cube. This is your home button. Alright, this is an isometric view, which means that this is going to be your front view, your right view, your back view, your left side, and then you have your bottom, and then you have the top. Right now you can't see what any one of these views are yet, because we haven't created anything. Okay, so down here is the name. So right now it's named part 1, but when we're finished with it and we save it, we're going to give it a name. Alright, so up here you have 3D model, you have sketch, you have inspect, you have tools, you have manage, you have view, you have environments, you have BIM, you have get started, so forth and so on. So we're going to start with the sketch. And we're going to start a new 2D sketch. Okay? Now, depending on what axis that you are I usually start with this plane right here. It really doesn't matter because you can always change. So if you look at this, this is the top. You can always change the look that you have based on this little cube here, and that will come later, all right? But for now, this is our point of origin. You must always, 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 always start on the point of origin. this is what determines where in space in your 3D matrix where it begins. If you do it over here, you have no point of reference. You have to make sure that you start on this point here. All right, so that's what determines the placement of these axes and planes, okay? So just to do a simple, we could use a line and we could draw it out. I'll show you. And we can draw it out starting on the point of orange. As you see, it turns green. Okay, and then you just click, drag up, click, drag over, click, drag down, click, drag over. All right, now let's say that you miss this here. Okay, so these are not with one another. You can either move it so that it touches, or you can use these geometric constraints that are up here. This one is coincident, and you can read what that means. A point coincident with a curve. Well, this isn't a curve. Collinear, where you have two lines that need to be either the same length. Concentric. All right, so we're going to use this one here, coincident, or coincident, some say. And now we know that those two are coincident. All right, now you can see that this is not parallel, or that it's off a little. So we can use this constraint here, horizontal constraint, so that we make sure that this line is horizontal. Now, the reason that that happened is because of actually it's going to be the vertical constraint because of the plane that we were using. So if I chose this one, you see where that dotted line is actually moving up and down? Well, we don't want this line to move up and down. So we're going to use the vertical constraint because we want it to be on this plane, vertical to this plane. All right. These two lines, whenever you start a project, should be purple. That means that they are constrained to this point, which if you don't see these two purple, and down here in the right hand corner, it's not in the screen, but it says there's two dimensions that are needed. You're going to look at this in the right hand corner to make sure that you have dimensioned this thing fully before you take it to the drawings. All right, so here's your dimension tool, and what you're going to do then is based on this here, whatever the length of this is, I'm just going to say 7 inches for these purposes, but you will have measured it out. I'm sure that's not right, because this is done in inches, so I know that that's not right. Then you're going to click this again so that you can get this in the screen. All right, and then you're going to dimension this. I'm just going to make this 5, let's say. Okay, I'm going to make this a little longer, maybe 10 inches or 15 inches. Okay. So now, once you have this design, remember this is a 2D sketch, okay? Then you're going to finish the sketch, all right? And then we're going to go to our 3D model, and now we can extrude it whatever the length or height that this should be. So let's just say it's 1 inch. All right, so now what we've created, all right, is this piece right here. Now, I'm assuming that we will be making 4 separate parts that fit together. I don't know if Stephen wants to make it all one uniform. That we would do a little differently. So once we understand how this thing is constructed, then we can continue with building and designing this. But this is kind of just a little overview. I'll be helping you as we go through it. So to save this, you're going to go up to the big I, and you're going to click Save As, and it'll automatically, just make sure, okay, see, it's automatically in our Madi robotics. Don't worry about old versions. What old versions does is this is kind of like a backup file. So if it does crash on you, that you are able to go into that folder and copy and paste it back into your active project. So I'm just going to name this, I don't know what this thing is called, I guess case, and then save. So now we have our piece. Now, if I want to open up, okay, and I want to create a new drawing of this, okay, so that's a standard IDW. Give it a minute, you have to be patient. Alright, we're going to have to change the sheet size. So we're going to right click sheet, edit sheet. Alright, and then we have to determine from the Foundry what size sheet we need. So if you look here, A gives us 8.5 by 11, but I'm not quite sure what the Foundry, what size sheet they're going to want to use with the drawings. So you can see there's all kinds. You can even customize it. So for these purposes, I'm just going to make it sheet A, because if we're going to print these out, we want it on 8.5 by 11 sheet. Okay, and then click OK. Now we want to change the size of this title block because we want to have more room in here for our drawings. So we're going to delete this, and then we're going to go up into our drawing resources, and we're going to look at title blocks, and we're going to bring in Nancy A. Alright, so now this is what a real architectural drawing looks like. This is the border, this is your title block. Okay, so now we're going to bring in our base. Alright, we're going to go look for our file, which is the case, and we're going to open that up. Okay, and then depending on what view you want, I mean, we could bring it in as isometric, right side, depending on what views you want. Okay, and then click OK. Now, what you then can project views off of this, okay, or bring in other views. So if we want the front view of this, then we'll bring in the front view, okay, and then we can project the top view off of this, okay, that way we can get the dimensions of that. Okay, and then we can get this view. So I think those are the only dimensions that we're going to need in order to actually create this. Okay, so now to dimension, you're going to click Annotate, Dimension, and now you just click the line on, and now we need between all the views. Now you don't need it in both places, so we know that this is the same length as this, and we know that this is the same length as this. So we will have, the only other dimension we need is this. Alright? So this is just a very simple way to use Inventor and show how to build something. If we need to put holes in it, we do it differently. If we need to put bends in it, one big unit, then that's something that we're going to have to look at and how to design. All right, good luck.